morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday morning to you. Welcome back to Morning Musings. Uh, wow, I was just chewing on some Goli apple cider vinegar gummies. Those things are like candy to me, and they taste wonderful, and they do a tremendous job of cutting down on the reflux. So that's a really good thing for me. I need that to help my voice. And by the way, one of you, and I do so sincerely apologize, but one of my viewers contacted me recently and said, "Hey, Don, you've got to try, it's some kind of tea leaf mixture. It's a liquid. Tastes an awful lot like peppermint." And they said, "You just got to try this to help you with your voice." And you were kind enough to send me a bottle of that stuff. Well, I want to tell you, out of everything that I have tried, it has been working wonderfully. I've been doing an awful lot of filming on an entire series, DVD series, on when did or will the 70 weeks of Daniel 9:24 come to an end. And that's going to be available in the near future, Lord willing, nothing happens. And I've been able to do that filming, and those videos are somewhere between 35 to 45 minutes long. I've just sailed right through it. So I do apologize again. I'm so sorry that I do not remember which one of you it was that sent me that bottle. It's a bottle about that tall, about that big around, whatever. And it came from Amazon, but it didn't have your name on it. So I don't know where this came from, but I want to say thank you so very, very much for sending that to me. I'll definitely be ordering some more of that, but I want you to know, whoever you are, whoever you were, I want you to know how much I appreciate it. Okay, got to move on. Well, as promised yesterday, the return of the absent master motif in Matthew chapter 25, 14 and following, is really paradigmatic in many, many ways. As I've suggested to you, anytime and every time in the New Testament that we find a prophecy and a prediction of the return of the absent master, it's based upon Jesus' parables. There is no dichotomy in the New Testament between comings of the Lord. There was no coming of the Lord that was at hand and a coming of the Lord that was, in the final analysis of things, not at hand. It was all relevant or relative to the generation. Jesus knew he was about to go away, and he knew it would be, quote, a long time, a generation, before he returned. He was not, and you cannot twist the scriptures to make it mean that he was saying, well, I'm going away, but it'll be 2,000 years before I get back. Or, as some postmillennialists have posited, it may be 40,000 years before he gets back. No, that's a distortion of Scripture. Now, I have suggested to you over the last few videos that John the Baptizer is in many, many ways the key to understanding all of this. John the Baptizer was the voice of one crying in the wilderness. We've documented and demonstrated that beyond any shadow of a doubt. He was also the messenger of the covenant of Malachi chapter 3. Hope you have your Bible. Hope you'll turn to Malachi chapter 3 with me, because we're going to go verses 1 through 5. Pardon me. "Behold," said Yahweh, "I send my messenger, and he will prepare the way before me." Well, wait a minute. That's Isaiah 40. That means, unless you can say, and unless you can prove that John, as the voice, foretold one coming of the Lord, that unless Isaiah 40 foretold the coming of one individual, i.e. the voice, to prepare the way of the Lord, that is different from the messenger who would come and prepare the way of the Lord, unless you can prove that those are two different people or even one person with two separate messages, it means that every single thing that we have said in regard to John the Baptizer, as the voice of one crying in the wilderness, preaching the message of the imminent coming of the Lord in judgment and the kingdom, that means that's got to be what Malachi chapter 3 was predicting, and let's prove that. And by the way, what I'm going to share with you today, I go into great detail in my book, Elijah Has Come, a Solution to Romans 11, 25 to 27. What I'm about to share with you this morning is absolutely incredibly important. And when I was researching to write this book, it was absolutely astounding to me that I could find hardly any commentaries to really develop these motifs. This is incredibly powerful, and you have to catch the power of what I'm about to share. So, again, behold, I send my messenger. He will prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom you seek will suddenly come to his temple. Even the messenger of the covenant in whom you delight, behold, he is coming. Now, a lot of people, a lot of commentaries try to conflate this with Jesus' first coming. And they try to make this refer to the two occasions in which Jesus went into the temple and purged the temple as the fulfillment of the Lord whom you seek will come suddenly to his temple. Well, there are an awful lot of things that militate against that. One of them, as the Hebrew scholars say, the Lord whom you seek will suddenly come to his temple. That is from the Hebrew word ba. We would spell that B-O-W. And that word is used most commonly throughout the Tanakh to speak of a judgment coming of the Lord. A judgment coming of the Lord, and that is absolutely verified. By the way, it's verified by the fact that this coming of the Lord here, the messenger would prepare the way, just like the voice would prepare the way. My voice is still much better. But the coming of the Lord of Isaiah, for which the messenger would prepare, was the coming of the Lord in judgment, as we've already proven. But watch this, very next verse. But who can endure the day of his coming? So this coming of the Lord suddenly to his temple is a time in which the question is asked, who can endure the day of his coming? And who can stand when he appears? He is like a refiner's fire and like a launderer's soap. This language of who can endure the day of his coming is used in Nahum. The Lord was going to come in the destruction of Nineveh. And so the Lord posed the question, who can stand before the Lord? Who can endure the day of his coming? Judgment coming. Oh, and by the way, in Revelation chapter 6, we find this. Now remember, the martyred saints cry out for vindication. They want vengeance on their persecutors, those who dwell on the earth. The answer to their prayer is recorded in Revelation 6:12 and following. I looked when he opened the sixth seal. Behold, there was a great earthquake. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood. The stars of heaven fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its late figs when it's shaken by a mighty wind. Then the sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved away out of its place. And the kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the commanders, the mighty men, every slave and every free man, hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks and the mountains, and said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us, hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne, from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath has come. Who is able to stand? By the way, Jeremiah, writing in the book of Lamentations chapter 2, verse 1, the Lord came and none could stand before him. You see, he was talking about the coming of the Lord and the destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BC. So what that means is, when we have this messenger in Malachi chapter 3, predicting the coming of the Lord, using the word bow, meaning a judgment coming, and we have this coming of the Lord, and no one could endure that day, no one could stand before him in that day. And oh, by the way, why could they not stand before him? Well, chapter 4 tells why. Because that day of the Lord was coming, burning like an oven. And all the proud, and yea, all who do wickedly will be stubble in the day which is coming. It shall burn them up. That's Matthew chapter 3, verse 7. Who warns you to flee from the wrath that is about to come. So, we have the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord for the coming of the Lord in the kingdom and judgment. John the baptizer was the voice of one crying in the wilderness, saying the kingdom of heaven is drawn near. The wrath was about to come. The axe was already at the root. The winnowing fork was already in his hand. Here is John, who is the messenger of the covenant. Again, Mark chapter 1, he's not only the voice of one crying in the wilderness, he is the messenger to prepare the way of the Lord. Malachi chapter 3. So John is the voice and John's the messenger. He didn't have two different messages of two different days of the Lord. He had one message of one kingdom, one message of one coming of the Lord. A coming of the Lord when no one could stand before him. Now, the great question becomes, what day of the Lord did John proclaim concerning which no man could stand? Well, it's the same day of the Lord of Isaiah 40 that we've already demonstrated that John said was near. But Malachi chapter 3 holds the definitive answer. What is the day of the Lord that John, as the messenger, was preparing for? Again, I discuss it in my book in depth, Elijah Has Come, a solution to Romans 11, 25 to 27. Furthermore, in my book, 70 Weeks Are Determined for the Resurrection, and in my book, 70 Weeks, Seal of Vision and Prophecy, these books will give you the definitive answer for what we've been discussing this morning and what we'll discuss over the next few videos concerning John as the voice, as the messenger, and as Elijah. If you purchase all three of these books separately, paid separate shipping, it would cost you $60. For the month of September and October 2021, U.S. orders only, total delivered price $39.95. Please do yourself a favor. You'll be so glad that you did. Go to my website, donkpreston.com, BibleProphecy.com. Wonderful banner right up at the very top. Just click on it. Make sure that you mention you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook. You'll be glad you did. Hey, thanks for joining me. I'll see you on the flip side.